An area nonprofit rallied together today to give a local 10-year-old boy the right of a lifetime. No human remains found in the ongoing search for missing Fruitland boy Michael Vaughn. For a child at Christmas, what could be better than finding a brand new bike under the Christmas tree this year? As of yesterday afternoon, Orion was over 253,000 miles from Earth and nearly 51,000 miles from the moon. Several agencies held a safety demonstration on the 100 deadliest days of summer, with the crash only going about 20 to 25 miles per hour. As you can see, it didn't hit straight on. The day started with testimony about the rape kit collection process and the investigation, but it's what happened toward the end of the day that may make or break this case.
So what's going to happen with the office now without a director?
Well, the office is still operating. The staff will continue to work as the mayor and 3 council members, Elaine Clegg, Holly Woodings, and Jimmy Halliburton, act as oversight as the city begins to search for an interim director.
Good morning, Sarah. We are trying to keep blood pumping this morning. We are up and at it. We've already had our first donations of the morning. Man, I'm out of breath. I may need to go back to the gym. Reporting live from Walmart on Lawrence Road, Jake Garcia, News Channel 6.
Jake Garcia live today with some tips on just how to do that. Jake, it looks miserable out there right now.
It is, Chris, and the number one thing that people need to remember on the roads today, at any point today, is speed. Make sure you slow down. Now, the roads you can see behind me, they are pretty much slush.
We do not have a suspect at this time, and that individual is still out there.
So far, no named suspect or a murder weapon after 4 U of I students were found stabbed to death on Sunday. The lack of information leaving this otherwise quiet college community on edge while grieving the loss of 4 beloved students.
Their loss has been devastating, and they were bright lights in our community and are deeply missed and remain in our thoughts and our prayers.
Wednesday's press conference raised even more questions. New video from a taco truck showed 2 of the victims ordering food in their final hours alive. Police say nothing was taken from the home and there were no signs of forced entry. The door was open when officers arrived.
So there is that door. There's also a back sliding door. And I will say, yes, there is that keypad lock on it. And my sister was absolutely a door locker. This was the party house and it's been generations. And so I won't say that they were very private with that code.
One of the biggest questions in this case is if the attack happened around 4 in the morning, why weren't police called until noon? Police not yet answering that question and providing no details about who called 911.
Were they the 911 caller?
At this point in time, I'm not going to divulge who our 911 caller is, just because I want to keep the integrity of the investigation at this point.
We do know 2 other female roommates were home at the time of the attack.
But they are really the key. It's a small town. The likelihood that they know who that person was in the house, I think, is reasonable.
Now, days after the attack, police still asking the community for tips as they try to piece together a timeline.
Frustration comes from having lost some very critical first 48, now 72 hours. I don't know if my sisters wanted to be buried. I don't know if they wanted white roses or red roses, but I do know that they would want justice.
You may have seen these signs all across town telling you not to vote, but it in fact comes from someone who wants your vote this November. We're all used to seeing political signs leading up to Election Day, but this sign with the words "Don't Vote" and a QR code recently started popping up all over the state. As you're driving by, there aren't any noticeable signs signaling who's responsible for the message. But now we know it comes from gubernatorial candidate Ammon Bundy.
It's possible that if that site had it been just merely educational and not tied to a candidate or not tied to a campaign or a group of candidates, to the benefit of some candidate, that could have been considered a educational component, someone's opinion expressing their First Amendment rights.
A very small sticker now placed in the corner of some signs show they're paid for by Bundy's campaign. When you scan the QR code, it takes you to a site that says if you vote without being well informed, you're a lousy and even dangerous citizen, ultimately taking you to Ammon Bundy's campaign website.
And that, making it clearly political messaging, makes it and all the subsequent components of that campaign subject to campaign finance laws.
State law requires political signs to clearly indicate who is responsible for the ads. Clearly is the word that officials say is the issue. The Secretary of State reported the violation to the Attorney General, which is common practice. Now, the AG's office notifying Bundy he's responsible for a $250 fine, ordering him to immediately and clearly attribute the signs and website to his campaign. If he doesn't, the AG's office could take Bundy to court, having him pay for legal fees in addition to the $250 fine. Driving around town to look at Christmas lights has become a Christmas tradition for many families over the years, and for one Boise man, putting up the lights is also a tradition. You can't tell by looking at his home that he's colorblind, but there is more to this story than meets the eye. The sights and sounds of the holiday season.
So I've always loved Christmas.
Roger Diebold's love for the holidays is quite noticeable.
Ever since we've been together, we've put up Christmas lights.
Since 2005, his lights have been synced to music, and in 2017, we featured Roger's Christmas lights, which caught the attention of ABC's Great Christmas Light Fight. People from all over the valley have flocked to the Diebold's home for years to enjoy the light spectacular. But this year is special in more ways than one.
Probably going to be our last year of doing a large format Christmas light show.
The reason? Roger's health.
I have a very rare form of lymphoma, and I was going through maintenance treatments from a bone marrow transplant that I had in 2019. And I had an infusion of an immunotherapy of chemo on January 5th. January 12th of this year, I came down with COVID.
Roger spent 63 days in the hospital.
In March, I was intubated. The doctors, the nurses, my family, no one thought I would make it.
Roger says he's too stubborn to die. He slowly started to recover, and one day while in his hospital bed, he decided to join a virtual meeting with other Christmas light enthusiasts like he has done in years past.
And they asked me if I was going to do my show this year. And I said, well, I'm wheelchair bound right now. I have no idea what my physical capabilities are.
That's when one of the guys on the other end said,
who wants to go to Boise to help Roger put up his Christmas lights? There was a bunch of the guys that were in that meeting said, we're going.
But as time went on, he was back on his feet, moving around, so he didn't expect them to show up. But in November, the group from out of state, including 3 local volunteers, showed up, ready to put up some Christmas lights.
We have some great minds, great talent flying from all over the U.S. To be a part of this, and we're looking forward to it.
To see the spirit of giving in action is something Roger and his wife Sally will never forget.
This means the world to me, to have those guys come out and support us. And it was like family out here. And they spent their own money and their own time to come out and help us set up the lights.
As his wife Sally puts it, a double Christmas miracle. Roger's life and the lights.
Right now we need smiles on our faces. There's a lot to be thankful for.
After talking with Roger and Sally, they showed me around where the show all comes together and the different types of lights.
And the show is starting.
In 5 minutes, okay, well, just in time, huh? Time to see the more than 145,000 lights in this display at work. The glow is extra special. Donations from this display go to Make-A-Wish of Idaho for kids with critical illnesses.
But these little kids that are going through the sicknesses and the cancers and everything that they're going through, they don't deserve that. And if we can in any way, shape, or form help them out, I want to do it.
Giving back to those in need and giving the gift of joy.
He says, thank you, Mr. Diebold.
You are very welcome. I hope you enjoyed it. I want the community to come enjoy the lights, enjoy themselves, forget about the troubles of the world while they're listening to the show.
Knowing the story behind this bright home makes the experience that much more memorable.
Like I say, go out with a bang. Never say never, but we're going to try to go out with a bang.
The show runs from now until Saturday, January 7th, nightly from 5:30 until 9 o'clock. For directions and how you can donate to their Make-A-Wish campaign, just go to our website, idahonews6.com.